you glorious gamers out there. Welcome to the PlayersToo Podcast, the video game podcast for gamers like you, by gamers like you. You can find PlayersToo on all the social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at PlayersToo.com, that's PLAYERSTOO.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, that would really help us out. It does a huge amount for the exposure of the show. And a big thank you to anyone who's already done that for us. Again, it really helps us out. And while you're over there, you might as well give us a review as well. Not a big, huge diatribe, just a thumbs up is good enough for us. And again, it is massively appreciated. All right, and on with the show. With me, as always, Mr. Lewis Camley. How's it going, Lewis?
It's going pretty well, Mark. How you doing?
Not bad. What have we been playing?
I've just been playing lots more Control really over the last few days. I don't have too much to add on top of what I said last week, so if you want to know my kind of initial thoughts on the game, go check out last week's episode as well, but still really enjoying it. I think I'm probably about halfway through now, maybe just over that. As I said, I'm trying not to look at guides or whatever to work out where I am, but it feels like roughly there. I've got most of the powers now, which has been quite fun discovering them. I thought I maybe had them all already, but there's been a few interesting additions. Yeah, it continues just to be a very fun game to play and a really fascinating sort of story world to explore. I still got some issues with it, most notably, as I said last week, the performance issues, but I gather as of today, as of
this recording, as of September the 10th, there is a big update on all platforms to apparently address some of the technical issues in the game, so thumbs up there.
Yeah, perfect timing, because I'm just starting to really get into spaces where some of the slowdown is a bit problematic because there's quite a lot of enemies on screen.
Oh, really?
And so
does it get worse when there's more enemies on screen? Is that like noticeable?
Basically, yeah. It's particularly because when you kill certain enemies, they explode and stuff, and like huge kind of flashes of sort of red light happen, and so all of a sudden what had been a completely ordinary screen is suddenly absolutely riven with like colour and noise and kind of dust and debris and stuff.
In the creating of this game, it was supposed to be a bit of a showcase for new ray tracing technology, which obviously the PlayStation can't do, particularly our OG PlayStations, you know what I mean, not even PlayStation 4 Pros or anything. So I wonder if it's a hang up around all of that. I can only assume that it is.
Oh yeah,
but it's good that they're addressing it. It's good that they're addressing it, even though it's a bit late, really, to be addressed.
It's a little bit late, although like I wouldn't normally pre-order many games, and it was just that I was quite excited about this, that I got it so early. And I've got to say, like, if you watch any of those ray tracing videos of Control itself,
it's stunning.
It's incredible.
Absolutely stunning. It's
absolutely wild.
Very clearly the future, because it looks remarkable.
So
absolutely amazing.
It's just a shame to have a version that's like so far from that, and it's like, you know, not really performatively as good as like any other kind of conventional PS4 game.
But even that, man, I mean, you need to have a pretty fucking high-end PC to be able to
run it. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Ray tracing to the kind of caliber that you would be really noticing it in a big way. Yeah, still enjoying it? Still
really enjoying it. As I say, I could just read the lore and kind of watch the videos and that kind of stuff on and on and on. Like, I almost don't need a game. This isn't a news story we're covering, so I'll just mention it really quickly. Like, Kojima has said that he's going to put like a very easy mode into Death Stranding. So and he basically said it's just for people if you like films. Sort of which Control had that you could just wander about in the oldest house and just kind of see what's going on and what stuff they've explored. So that side of it is just fantastic, and yeah, really excited to see where it's all going. I'm really like in the thick of it story wise now, so that's been cool.
Nice one, man.
What about you? What have you been playing?
It's more Fire Emblem, innit?
Yeah.
We're getting there. I'm right at the end. My copy of Control has also arrived as well, so I'll be jumping straight onto that after Fire Emblem. I'm right at the end now. I think I've only got like 2 chapters to go. I think in another session, I'll just kind of kill it in another session. But I am. This is going to sound quite negative, but I'm quite ready for it to be over now. Do you know what I mean? I'm over 70 hours into the game. In fact, my in-game clock says I'm probably closer to 80, but in reality, I'm probably closer to 70. It's been quite a remarkable journey, to be honest. I think the last time we spoke about Fire Emblem, I was a bit kind of unsure about the path that I'd taken. That kind of remains true, but I kind of see that it's all going somewhere, and it's still all quite interesting, and it's still giving you quite interesting choices, or choices certainly that seem to have gravity in the story, and choices that will make a difference to how the story's going to pan out, or it would appear anyway. Again, I've not got to the end, so I can't say that categorically, obviously. Yeah, I'm still very much enjoying it, but I've kind of got to the point where, this was great. This is a fantastic experience. I absolutely adored this game from start to finish, basically. But I'm now at the point where, I'm ready to move on.
Just dying to play something else.
I done this with Octopath Traveler last year as well. I kind of got to, it was around about the same time in the year as well where the release calendar was getting wild, and I was kind of like, yeah, it's time now. That's fine. I did have a super duper final boss even to finish in that, but I was just like, no, we're hanging it up here. That was my playthrough of this game. I'm quite happy with it. Time to move on.
Fair enough. You said before that you wanted to do a second run, like go in one of the other houses.
Ultimately, I want to do, I would quite like to, well, 4 technically. I would quite like to do all the runs, and I've heard that after your first run there is a means of shortening the other ones.
Yep.
I don't know by how much, but if that is available to me and it can cut the time down quite significantly, then I would hope that I would be able to go back at some point and do some of the other runs, because I did really love the game, particularly the battles. Like I really like the tactical battles in the game are just so fun and so up my street, and I really love all that shit. I really love all that kind of strategy stuff, and as well like the total flip side of that, the stuff in the school is way better and way more interesting than I ever thought that it was going to be.
Good. Yeah.
It was really great. So although I am now very much ready for it to finish, I don't want that to diminish anything that I previously said about it. It's still a fantastic game. I still recommend anyone to go and buy it and play it.
Sweet.
It probably is my favourite game of the year so far, to be honest. It's probably better than Resident Evil 2 for me. Which is a bold claim.
That is a bold claim. I'm a little surprised given that you look like you're absolutely exhausted by it.
I mean, it's an exhausting experience. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot happened in those 70 odd hours that I've played it. But no, it really is very, very good indeed. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. But it is time. It's time.
Fire Emblem is the game to beat then.
Yeah, it's time to move on. And as such, we'll move on to the news. Segue like a boss.
That's coming a mile off that one.
Shut up. All right, and news item number 1. Nintendo had a direct. We mentioned this on the last podcast that Nintendo seem to time their directs just perfectly after we record the previous podcast. I thought this was a pretty damn good one.
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of not too many like new reveals, although some really good stuff within it. But more details on some of their biggest games as well. So yeah, I totally agree. I thought it was a really good one. Some pretty strong trailers in it.
Yeah, so let's get stuck into it. We'll just do a very quick rundown of all the games that were mentioned in the direct, and then we'll just kind of stop and talk about the kind of more interesting ones as we continue on. It opened with Overwatch coming to Switch, which was kind of widely known beforehand, and we called it, quite frankly. Although it was probably one of the worst kept secrets in the whole video games, but that is coming out on October the 15th, so not even that far away. Not even that far away at all. Next up was Luigi's Mansion 3. It got a new trailer and it showed off an up to 8-person party mode where you could go a team of Gooigis, which Lewis is very excited about.
It just couldn't
you
be
seem
better
weirdly fascinated with this game.
I just think it looks like a lot of fun. Like, it's not going to be a groundbreaking experience, but I just love that world, love everything that Nintendo are doing with those characters. So
Next up was Super Kirby Clash. This is a free to start game. It very, very much looked like a mobile game, this. And I had heard it described as Kirby 2D Monster Hunter, because it was kind of like a band of 4 of you just going off to fight a boss, and that is basically the whole game. Right. But I think that's doing a massive disservice to Monster Hunter. Next up was an HD remake of the Trials of Mana. I believe it's the third game, but it's the first Trials of Mana. I think there was other Trials games before this. GRPG nuts, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's coming out on April the 24th next year. Next one up was Obra Dinn coming to Switch, Lewis. Coming to Switch. Lewis had already started playing this on the old Steam. It's coming to Switch in the fall, it just said. Do you wish you'd waited?
No, actually.
Really? Okay.
I honestly...
I'm sensing some bullshit here, ladies.
No. Honestly, I would not recommend this as a Switch game. If, like, I guess what I'm saying is I would not recommend that you play this handheld. It's not that kind of game. It requires a real level of attention that I don't think you could possibly have playing portably on the move and stuff.
More than Into the Breach?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like way more than that. Way more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So just sitting, staring at the screen for quite a long period of time.
I honestly imagine that you are not going to enjoy playing Return of the Obra Dinn whenever you get to it.
And I will get to it. This is high on the list. I am stunned that you've said that because I cannot wait to play it.
But I know what your reaction to The Witness was. Like, I think slow meditative games like that, it's frustrating. Like, I would not play it alone, and I'm not playing it alone.
The Witness was different.
It's not that different.
Okay.
But yeah, just like if you don't know anything about it, Return of the Obra Dinn is absolutely worth checking out. But just be conscious of what you're going into. Like, it is not it's a walking simulator with a really, really deep detective mode attached to it, essentially.
That style's amazing as well. That kind of two-tone.
Yeah.
I think it was like an old school like Macintosh computers. It was basically based off of it. It looks so cool, man.
I've been playing it again this week, and I've now, I think, only got 5 fates to confirm, and that means that you've...
Oh, really? You're that close to the end? I didn't realise
so there's
that.
then one level that you can't do until you've done everything else, so I've got that to do, and then that's it. So hopefully in the next show or two I'll be able to cry
Give the
about
full
it
review.
finally being over.
Next up was Little Town Hero. This was previously just called Town, I believe, when it was first shown off. I think at E3 2018. Is that correct?
It feels correct, yeah.
I think that is correct. This was a game by Game Freak. It seems to be a sort of menu-driven battle system where monsters are coming to attack your town. So the whole game is based in this town, from what I gather. And your weapons are ideas.
Of course they are.
Are concepts. Which was interesting. And you can also get support from your townsfolk mid-battle. And interesting tie-in to the PlayersToo Podcast. Toby Fox, creator of Undertale, which was our play-along game last month that we talked about in last week's show, done all the music for this game, which is really cool.
A funny little tie-up for that.
It's a weird tie-up, yes. That's coming out on October the 16th, which is a busy window. But I actually thought this looked quite interesting.
I couldn't really work out what the hell was going on, but I'm interested to know more about it. Like this idea that you're playing with ideas.
I think you've said it right there. I'm interested to know more about it. Yes, I'm interested to know more about it. Next up was Smash Bros. And confirmed that Banjo-Kazooie was coming that day, so it shadow dropped at the time. So Banjo-Kazooie, as you listen to this now, is already out. And that Terry of Fatal Fury fame, which is a game that I am not familiar with in the slightest, is coming in November 2019, and he will be the 4th of the 5 original DLC characters, because it's also been confirmed that there will be more characters coming. Hooray! More chances to buy DLC for Smash that I won't play. And also just wanted to add in here that it wasn't mentioned in the direct, but afterwards, as a weird other tie-in to Undertale, Sans is also coming as a Mii Fighter costume, which is just weird that all that happened at the same time when we were doing a play-along for Undertale. That was a character that literally 3 weeks ago I would have had no connection to. Which is a bit wild.
We're just so on the zeitgeist, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That is obviously it. Not blind luck. Who do you want to see as a DLC character? Go.
For number 5?
No, okay, for number 5, just in general though.
Well, just in general, like, I would love to see a proper PlayStation character come over. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I would love to see...
the clouds though.
Yeah, true. But like someone like kind of iconically connected to actual Sony. Crash
would be awesome.
Yeah, or I mean, Kratos doesn't fit, but someone like that. But to be honest, like I would love to have one of the Tekken characters in it, just as a.
That would be awesome. And I think Goku, like I think everyone wants Goku forever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that the attitude from Sakurai towards that is that he isn't a video game character, therefore he's not invited.
Yeah, fair enough, really.
Next up was Link's Awakening. They showed off their dungeon creator, which was a kind of weird sort of thing where you seem to collect segments of a dungeon and you can kind of put them all together and then save them to an amiibo that you can then share with your friends if they have the game. It's a very bizarre system.
You must be describing a Nintendo product right now.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. I cannot fathom why you cannot share them online somehow. That seems bizarre, but they only mentioned the amiibo, so therefore...
As far as we know,
we can only assume that they can be shared through literally passing a physical figure around, which is just wild. Anyway, that's coming on the 20th of September. Other than that, it looks amazing. Next up was Dragon Quest XI, the Definitive Edition, which is coming out on September the 27th. Loads of DLC for this, and there's a free demo available right now. Sorry if you hear the paper turning again. We're back on the physical notes, ladies and gentlemen. Next up was Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore. Now this was the most Japanese game I think I've ever seen in my life. I think it was some sort of cross fighting / rhythm game that had the characters from both Persona, Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem somehow crossing over on one another. It was bizarre. If that is in any way of interest to you, fair play to you, go and check it out. I didn't understand what the hell was happening. Next up after that, Deadly Premonitions 2 was announced. It's coming in 2020, and that the original game shadow dropped onto the Nintendo Switch Online. Now, this is a game that I wasn't very familiar with, and I don't think you were very familiar with it either.
All, no.
But man, this was getting mad buzz when this came out. It made me kind of really interested. I started looking into it. I was a wee bit kind of like, maybe I should check this out. Did it do anything for you?
Kind of the same, yeah. Like even within the direct, they were kind of bigging it up so much, and I was thinking, I don't know this. I haven't looked into it much, but anything that's kind of got a mixture of like that kind of survival horror and sort of like a detective-y mode, I'm sort of interested in. But it feels like the kind of game that I'll say that I'll play and I'll never get around to, basically.
Well, speaking of games that you say that you'll play and you'll never get around to, Divinity Original Sin 2 also shadow dropped at the time on your favourite console, the Nintendo Switch. Any interest in playing it?
I have quite a lot of interest in playing it, but like you say, I am probably lying to myself that I ever will get to it. It's cool that it's there. I think I'm much more likely to play it on Switch than on PlayStation, just because I can play it kind of all the time and dip in and out.
But I think it's a game that kind of lends itself
that would
to
merit
that as well.
Yeah.
I think you probably can dip in and out.
Well, like I'll hold it there as a possibility.
Yeah. And Divinity Original Sin 2, if you're into that kind of RPG, is like kind of hands down one of the best out there right now. And it has mechanics and depth of system for days, it seems. Next, Pete Hines made an appearance to announce that Doom 64 will be coming out on November the 22nd. I was going to say a remake, but it's not. It's definitely just the classic game ported onto the Nintendo Switch because the graphics looked like the N64. So, but obviously an absolutely classic game. This kind of ties in with our whole year of Doom because it's the 20th anniversary of the game now. Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in playing Doom 64 in this day and age, it's there for you. It's going to be coming. Next up was a game called Rogue Company by High Res Studios. It was an objective team-based online multiplayer that's coming in 2020. Didn't give a whole lot away. Kind of had a bit of a Overwatch aesthetic to it. If that's of interest to you, go and check it out. But the trailer really didn't give a lot away at this point. Next up was Pokemon. Now, there was some weirdness, some weird stuff going on here. First of all, they focused on the fact that you could customize your character, which I kind of thought was a given, but there we go. Yeah,
they said something like, and it's not just tops and bottoms anymore.
Tops and bottoms. You can customize your hair.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre. But not as bizarre as the Curry Dex, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. So in Pokemon, now you seem to be able to set up your camp and you can interact with your Pokemon, which gets you a better relationship with the Pokemon, which I'm sure will translate into some sort of buff in battles. Great, thumbs up. If that's what you want to do, fine. But then you can also feed them curry on rice, curry, and all your recipes, of which there are over 100, will be kept in, not joking, the Curry Dex, which is absolutely glorious and terrible at the same time. Lewis, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know where to begin with
I love
Pokemon business.
I love that this is based in Britain and that they've chose curry, which is just great.
And it was like this curry that they kept showing was some bizarre like sausage curry, which isn't a thing.
No, that's not really a thing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure you'll find it in these parts of Scotland, but I mean, it's not. I don't think it's really a thing. Although you do get currywurst in Germany. That is a real thing. They also showed off 2 new Pokemon. One was a kind of bird, and another one was tea, also leading in to the kind of UK thing. But it was a bizarre looking little thing. It was a teapot, it was a floating teapot. There's no two ways about it. Yeah,
the bird was supposed to be like a cormorant as well, which like is a kind of British seabird. So they're definitely going for that vibe. Everything about this game, I'm just like, what is
so
happening?
bizarre.
I can't tell if I love
this.
Not.
It's got a curry dex. What is that?
But like, so that's sort of just like the cooking mechanic in like, say, Breath of the Wild, right? But only one type of food, and they've got a curry dex for it. What are they? Yeah, where are they going with that?
Why not? Why wouldn't you have that in a Pokemon game?
Meanwhile, they're like excluding some people's favourite Pokemon from actually appearing in the game.
But Lewis, there's over 100 types of curry. I don't know if you quite understand this.
Okay, I'm sold then.
Next up, the big one as far as I was concerned, SNES games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Hurrah! I think this has been long speculated, and in fact, I don't know if we've discussed it on here before, but a data mine had basically revealed that there were multiple other emulators on the Nintendo Switch Online, one of which was very much speculated to be an SNES emulator. So that's great. And the new service launches with Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Stunt Race FX, Kirby's Dream Land 3, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Star Fox, F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Kirby's Dream Course, Brawl Brothers, Breath of Fire, Demon's Crest, Joe and Mac 2, Super EDF Earth Defense Force, Super Ghosts and Ghouls, Super Puyo Puyo 2, Super Soccer, and Super Tennis.
Lots of supers going on there.
Lots of supers. Lots and lots of supers. But ultimately, this is a great thing. They also announced that there will be a new SNES controller as well, similar to the NES one that we previously had, which is going to be wireless and you just charge it with a USB, which looks awesome. But another thing that came out again after the Direct was that the games will no longer be released on a monthly basis, so it'll be just kind of as and when they feel like it sounds like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which isn't great, to be honest.
I sort of thought they were all just coming at once. Is it not like that?
No, sorry, they're all coming at launch.
Yeah.
But things like, notable exceptions from this are like the Donkey Kong Country games.
Yep.
So, but I mean, God knows when we're going to get that. I mean, there's a lot of JRPGs, notably Chrono Trigger was one of the big ones from this era. Not there either. Are we going to see that at some point? Who knows? But we're not getting them on a monthly basis anymore. So, Nintendo give with one hand and take away with the other, don't they?
Always.
Thoughts on this?
I think it's really good. We've been waiting for it for a while. We've been talking about it for a while, so great to be able to play some of these old games. Plenty of them that I doubt will ever touch or really merit being touched very much. But yeah, like Super Metroid, A Link to the Past, the old Mario games, even the old Kirby stuff, Star Fox. Dead into playing some of those. There's some that I just don't know anything about really as well, so it'd be interesting to like try some out or read some stuff about a couple of them and see whether they're worth it.
Next up was a new Nintendo 99 Invictus mode, which also included local multiplayer options in the latest update. So if you're into your Tetris, go and check that out. After that was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, which included a lot of classic modes, a lot of kind of pixel stuff going on, which is coming on November the 5th. After that was Daemon X Machina. They are dropping a new demo, or they shadow dropped a new demo. I played the first demo, which came out, I think it was at the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year at some point.
Months and months ago,
I was pretty unimpressed with it, if I'm totally honest with you. But initially, I was quite interested in playing it, so maybe I'll go back in and check out this new demo. Your progress in the demo will carry over onto the game, should you choose to buy it. The demo also includes a co-op mode, so me and you can play it if you like.
No.
Fair enough. And the game is coming out on September the 13th, which will be the day after you hear this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. After that was Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, which is coming in September the 24th, which is a very, very old game. I know that it has a big mod community on PC. You won't get that on Switch, obviously, but maybe worth checking out if you're into your Star Wars. After that, we got another trailer for The Witcher Complete Edition, which is coming on October the 15th. Then after that, Assassin's Creed Rebel Collection. This is Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue, which is coming out on December the 6th on Switch. You played Black Flag, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the best of that generation of Assassin's Creed games, I think.
It kind of lost its way for a bit there, didn't it?
That was the point after which it definitely lost its way for me. I haven't played Rogue. That was like the last one that was released on the 360 and PS3 generation, and I think the new consoles were already out, and it kind of went a bit by the wayside. So yeah, like Black Flag is good fun. Like that's the easiest way to describe that game. It's good fun. It's got really good ship mechanics, but you're probably playing the new one if you're really into Assassin's Creed anyway. So.
Yeah, but I mean, could be interesting to play the go, I guess.
Definitely.
Maybe worth checking out. After that was Dauntless. This is the kind of Monster Hunter light game, which is free to play, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch in 2019, it just said. So later this year at some point, hopefully. I know that Dauntless has a lot of cross-play and cross-progression, I believe. So if you have started on another console, if you have started on PC and you want to continue on Switch, it looks as if that's going to be something you'll be able to do. And there's also exclusive content coming to Switch. After that was Nintendo's standard montage, which included Just Dance, which is coming out on November the 5th. Grid Autosport, which is coming September the 19th. Farming Simulator 20, which is coming December the 3rd. Ni no Kuni, that is the original one. I don't know if that's a remaster or if that's just the original game, but that's coming on September the 20th. NBA 2K20, if you want to go and purchase some microtransactions. That's coming on September the 6th. Call of Cthulhu is coming on October the 8th. Outer Worlds just says coming soon, which is slightly concerning because I thought that was going to launch on Switch.
I don't know if they've ever definitively said that, but yeah.
Well, that sounds as if it's not, so
yeah,
it looks as if it's going to be on other consoles before it's on Switch. Then Devil May Cry 2, which I thought was a weird one to have in a montage. I mean, that's quite a big game. No one knew it was coming before now, but that's coming on September the 19th. Also worth noting, Devil May Cry 1 isn't on Switch, which makes it even more bizarre. Then the montage ended with Vampire, which is a Don't Nod game who are of Life is Strange fame, and that's coming on October the 29th to Switch. After that, one of Nintendo's big flagship games, Animal Crossing New Horizons, got a new trailer which went into a lot of depth on many things I didn't care about.
Yeah, good lord, it went on.
It really, really did go on. Look, I'm not going to pretend to know much about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is not my kind of thing. I do not understand why so many people love Animal Crossing, but I know that you're out there, people. And if you like Animal Crossing, it is coming on March the 3rd for you. And their one final thing was Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming in 2020. This looks like a JRPG-ass JRPG. Xenoblade has always kind of semi-interested me. Maybe I'll have a look at this in 2020. Depends on what else is happening right about that time, I suppose. So this is going to be a remastered version of that original game. Looks pretty cool. If you're into your JRPGs, I'm sure you already know about Xenoblade. Maybe worth checking out. News item number 2. We got a tease trailer for the new Resident Evil game. It's still going by Project Resistance. From the trailer, images from the trailer were leaked beforehand and it looks as if they were fairly on point. It looks like a team-based multiplayer shooter, perhaps PvE, perhaps an asymmetric PvPvE, sort of in the style of the Predator games that we saw at, what was it, E3 we saw there? No, it was Gamescom, wasn't it?
Gamescom, yeah.
So, yeah.
Or like Friday the 13th.
The trailer seemed to show a group of 4 players being attacked by zombies, but then also at the end, Mr. X walked in, so I wonder if he's a playable character or if he's just like a tease for like a boss or something like that, or someone you still have to deal with within the game. Yeah, they said more details are coming during the Tokyo Game Show, which is the 12th to the 15th of September, the 12th being the day this podcast comes out, so dear listener, you may know more than we do, but as of right now, does this do much for you?
Not especially as the game itself. I actually thought this was a brilliant trailer.
My God, it looked gorgeous. Apparently that was an engine, by the way.
If it is, that's crazy.
Not sure that I believe that.
No, I don't really believe
but
that.
it was a glorious looking trailer.
Yeah,
and that RE engine is amazing.
Yeah, it was a really fun, like, well put together thing, and I really like within the trailer you kind of see someone behind the scenes pulling the strings who's like releasing zombies from their cages.
I think it's widely accepted that is Wesker.
Yeah, probably is, right? But he also seems to he puts on gloves that look like they're kind of mimicking
powering up.
Yeah, like for Mr. X. So maybe it's something where one player gets to control all of this stuff, and it's kind of more like a fun
controlling the environment.
So
they're like sitting in a faraway room,
traps and yeah.
Oh wow,
like that kind of thing.
That's
could be
really
fun.
interesting, List. I never thought about that.
Yeah. I like that was in the trailer and it wasn't just like you're being hunted by zombies.
Have you heard that somewhere else?
No,
literally just come up with that.
That just was.
Listen, I think you may have hit the nail on the head there. By the way, that sounds like exactly what it could be. Someone's playing as quote unquote Wesker, and they're setting traps and getting zombies to come in at different times and whatever, and then maybe there's some boss at the end whereby you get to control someone like Mr. X and kind of go in a kind of PvP situation with the other 4 characters. God. Listen, you might be a genius.
Probably never play it, even if it is that. But it could be a really interesting thing, like zombie games and co-op battlers.
No, but you were interested in the Friday the 13th stuff and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and if it does turn out to be something like that, I thought that might be something you were into.
And given, as you were saying there, like how good the RE engine is, how good the Resident Evil 2 remake was. It's definitely worth looking at, but just anything that involves like squadding up online, I've got my doubts about, So if it had like an offline co-op multiplayer, like couch co-op, that would be phenomenal. But who knows?
All right, and news item number 3: Gears 5 has been released. It's currently sitting at an 86 on Metacritic for both Xbox and PC. Don't be a slave to that Metacritic. Seems to be pretty good. The narrative seems to be good. Seems to be telling a good, interesting story. Maybe a cut above some of the earlier Gears games. It does seem as though the multiplayer aspects, the Horde mode and the Versus mode, both seem to have reviewed pretty well as well. It seems as though the open world's maybe letting it down a bit, maybe a bit kind of barren, maybe not quite so much to do in that open world. And I think the co-op mode really wasn't that great, but in reality I don't know how many people are playing this game co-op. But overall, it seems to be a bit of a win for Xbox, one of their few big flagship exclusive IPs, which has kind of waned in previous years. Seems to be good, seems to be reviewed well.
I think, it's absolutely what Xbox needed. They are crying out for a success like this, and it does seem to be largely like an uncompromised success, like other than obviously there's a few flaws in it or whatever, but the no game breaking stuff, no major issues with it. So it's great that people are enjoying it. Like it's a fairly central gaming franchise these days, and there's going to be countless fans out there who are dying to play.
Oh yeah, man, it's got its diehard fans without a shadow of a doubt. And if you've got Xbox Game Pass as well, it's on there day one. And if you've got it, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Go and check it out if you've got that. And news item number 4. Another game has come out, Liz. There's so many games. So many games, ladies and gentlemen. Borderlands 3, the reviews are in. The game itself actually comes out on the 13th. However, the reviews are in sort of. There was a kind of weird situation happening where only certain outlets seem to have got review codes, and even then, those review codes were actually just access to an Epic Games Store account with the game preloaded into it. It was bizarre, and there's been no outlet in the UK being given a review code, and big sites like Kotaku didn't get a review code either. I don't know what you make of that. It just seems utterly bizarre.
Yeah, they keep saying it's about sort of security and leaks and stuff like that, but it does strike me as a little bit, I don't know, like if any other game was not giving out proper codes to most major outlets so close to release, alarm bells would be ringing. Although it's reviewing well, so...
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. So despite all of that, the game is actually reviewed really well. So it's currently sitting at an 85 on Metacritic for PC, because PC is the only code that anyone's got. So none of the console reviews are in yet. But again, it seems to have reviewed really well. It seems to be an iteration on the same Borderlands formula. It's nothing revolutionary. However, because of that, it's just more Borderlands. It's packed full of dumb jokes, mad guns, and ultimately it looks as if it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you liked old Borderlands, you're almost undoubtedly going to like this one. If you didn't, it's probably not for you.
Are you going to pick it up? You've played some of the old ones, right?
I played 2 and really enjoyed 2.
Yeah.
I was a bit kind of lukewarm on this coming in, if I'm totally honest with you, for no particular reason. It just wasn't high on my radar of games that were coming out at this time, because there is so much coming out just now. I would love to play it, to be honest with you. I would probably not play much of the online stuff, if I'm totally honest with you. I'd probably just go in, absolutely beeline the story, and then move on to something else. But after the intensity of Fire Emblem and how long I've spent in that, I'm kind of looking forward to having like a kind of shorter experience. So I'm quite looking forward to just having control there, which is going to be a much shorter experience than that. I don't know if I want to be committing to a massive looter shooter right now as well. So I'm hoping to pick it up at some point, but I mean, the end of the year up until Christmas now is just absolutely wild with releases, so I have no idea when I'm going to fit it in. And we'll just finish off with a couple of shout-outs. And it's more games, Lewis. It's more games. So many games have come out. Well, first off, is actually a bit of DLC, and it's Celeste Chapter 9, the Farewell DLC. This is free DLC coming to Celeste. So if you've played Celeste, then it should be there for you. There should be an update. If you've not played Celeste, why the hell not? But there's never been a better time. Go and do it. You're getting some free DLC with it, no matter where you're buying it from. This is coming to all platforms. And hopefully you got it when it was free on the Epic Games Store as well. I mean, imagine getting it for free, and then you're just getting this free DLC dropped on top of it as well. That's absolutely amazing. It's going to have 100 new levels, 40 minutes of new music, and Matt Thornton and his team have launched a new studio called Extremely OK Games. But this game is far from okay. It is absolutely amazing. It is by far one of the best indie games I've ever played, quite frankly, and it is right up there with my favourite games ever.
Oh,
if I'm totally honest with you. It is an incredible game. If you've not played it, or if you have any doubts, there's never been a better time to go and play it, and it is incredible. Next up is Greedfall, which is also out now. Currently sitting at a 75 on Metacritic for PC and Xbox, and a 74 on PS4. This game really caught our attention at Gamescom recently. Thought it was quite an interesting premise where you play a diplomat and not necessarily like a warrior or a soldier or something like that. Just thought it was quite an interesting premise. Those review scores are very much in the good not great category, I would say, but I'm still interested. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, totally. It's been a funny game because we didn't know much about it at all before Gamescom.
We knew absolutely nothing, and then bang, suddenly it's with us.
And it's out. But it seems like just from a quick skim of some of the reviews, it's mainly that it's got kind of like performance issues and some like ropey dialogue and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, I think as a concept it looks quite interesting, so I'd be kind of keeping an eye on it over the next wee while. I don't think it's something I'm going to pick up right away, but definitely an interesting one.
Yes, and speaking of games that caught our attention at Gamescom, Blasphemous is also now out. This looked very much in the vein of Dead Cells, which obviously reviewed very, very well last year, if you don't know. However, this one seems to be a bit more Metroidvania, whereas Dead Cells was much more of a roguelite. It seems to be quite a dark, kind of Souls-like-esque aesthetic to it, and also has the if you die you have to go and collect your whatever insert the souls here thing is. There's not a massive amount of reviews for this, and it seems to vary quite wildly between a kind of mid-7 and a high 8, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. And if you're into those type of games, if you're into those type of indie games, especially like I am, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, I think. And the last one I just wanted to mention was more DLC, or an expansion, in fact, was Monster Hunter World Iceborne. and that's currently sitting at a colossal 90 on the PS4 on Metacritic. Don't be a slave to that Metacritic, but when it says it's a 90, it's probably pretty good. It's an absolutely massive expansion by the looks of it. It's got new areas, new monsters, new hunting mechanics. It basically looks halfway to a sequel, if I'm totally honest. And yeah, if you're into your Monster Hunter, looks as if it's just more of it for you, effectively. Monster Hunter, I never really got into it, which I kind of regret now, to be totally honest with you, because it does seem as if it's absolutely great. It just seems as if it's getting a thumbs up at every possible turn.
Yeah, when
really well supported by Capcom.
But that's it, yeah. Like Monster Hunter World came out to massive fanfare. People really loved it. I'm exactly the same. I've kind of always had a bit of a soft spot for it, but have never actually picked it up. And yeah, what is this, like just over a year and a half, like a year and 9 months since it released?
So it came out in January last year,
2018. Yeah, so like to get a massive sequel sized DLC, like it's a good offer from Capcom, so well done.
Absolutely. All right, we'll go and get a beer and then topic of the week.
Yeah.
And we are back with topic of the week. Topic of the week this week is the nature of review scores, what reviews mean to us, why reviews are useful, and why you can ignore reviews entirely. I've kind of been thinking about review scores a lot recently because we're currently in the busy part of the year. There's a lot of games coming out. As you heard in the early part of the podcast, most of what we talked about were new releases. We mentioned the review scores of multiple games. I just wanted to kind of talk about that and what review scores mean to us, because I kind of say jokingly a lot of the time, oh, don't be a slave to the Metacritic. But why am I saying that? I'm not trying to say that reviews aren't important at all, but I think that they're a lot less important than a lot of people might think. Or people give them a lot more credence than they perhaps ought to, is probably more what I'm trying to say. So, Lewis, what are the nature of review scores?
I believe in reviewing. I believe in criticism in that way. I think
just to immediately knocking something on the head, I'm not saying that criticism isn't valid. That is not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying putting a review score, putting a number to that criticism.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're talking about.
In that case, I don't think that an actual number is altogether super valuable, but it has its place, absolutely. I like that we live in a gaming culture, at least, where some outlets ignore that completely and they write. And to be totally honest, that's what I read more of, are just the kind of like expansive reviews that don't necessarily put numbers on, because generally what I'm looking for in kind of games criticism are features and ideas and things that happen in games that really grab the reviewer, and you don't always necessarily get that in a numbered review, or it doesn't boil down well to a numbered review. That said, there's so many games that are elevated or, you know, quite rightly cast aside because of the scores that they get, and that's difficult. That's definitely a difficult topic, because it's not up to someone else to define for you how you should feel about a game. No,
and that's kind of what I'm getting at, to be honest with you. Like, reviews, even if they're done by big organisations, your IGNs, your Game Informer, Eurogamer, whatever it is that you go to for reviews, it's still just one person. It's still just one person, by and large, reviewing the game for that company. And it seemed as if this big, huge institution is endorsing this game, which I suppose it is, because they trust the reviewer.
Yeah, and there's process of editing and stuff.
And there's process, and there's editing, and there is a system behind the number that is assigned to their feelings towards the game.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, but ultimately it's still one person's opinion, and like, people's opinions differ massively all the time. So I think that we, as a gaming culture in particular, which kind of leans more on reviews than film, say, or certainly music. I mean, does anybody give a damn about the Metacritic score of a new album? Like, not at all.
Not in that way. I mean? No, probably not. But like, people still do, for music and for film, they look for their favourite outlets and they look to see what they are saying about it. Like, probably most people just go to IGN. I suspect for most people it literally will be IGN, and they see the score, and that, like you say, like, that might just turn you off a game. Like, you might see a game that you were interested in got a 6 and that's it. And you're completely right in saying that that's just one person, or it's like one person backed by a kind of process where they're assigned it and someone else reviews their review or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the thing is, like, you have to read the review. You can't just read the number. Like, if you want
that is, I think that is key. Is that I think that it's far too tempting just to scroll to the bottom of an IGN article, see the score, just go, oh, that's a 7. That's not good enough for me. I'm on my way.
Absolutely.
I think about things like Fire Emblem, and I kind of thought that when Fire Emblem came out, that could swing both ways. That could either be reviewed really well, which it did. It was basically pushing a 9 on Metacritic, I think, or it could be somewhere in the 7s, which I actually think Octopath Traveler was like closer to that end than it was to a 9. But I absolutely loved that game. Do you know what I mean? That's always the one that I kind of come back to as an example. Like, I think that the reviews of that game could easily have put me off it. But it was great, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved everything about it. It definitely isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem isn't for everyone. Yeah, I'm perfectly willing to admit that. Like, these are... That sort of JRPG is for a very specific kind of nutcase like me. But I think that it would be easy for a lot of people to be put off by the review scores of that game and not have played this really, really great game that could really have like got them into games like that. Or maybe it's like a kind of throwback to when they used to play Pokemon or when they used to play some of the old Final Fantasy games and things like that, which I absolutely love, and I continue to love those games. You know what I mean? I think that it can be detrimental and unfair to games, which I suppose brings me on to like another question, which is, what do you think the responsibility of the reviewer is? I mean, obviously, like impartiality goes without saying, and just kind of standard critical ethics. But do you think that because it is only one person's opinion, do you think that they should just give their opinion on the game, or should they be more, quote, objective? Which is, I hate it when people say that you should review things objectively when it is inherently a subjective,
there is no objective
a subjective problem. No, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you review it as a kind of nebulous video game rather than what I think about this video game.
Yeah, or where it sits in the pantheon, or like
where it sits in the exactly. So where it sits in the pantheon
of
of video games, or where it sits within its genre of video games versus what I think about this video game.
Like, I think all of that feeds in. Like, most of that stuff is useful information for someone. Like, and it depends why you're even reading a review. Like, are you reading it to understand whether it's good or not? Are you literally just looking for a buyer's guide? Because that is the one good thing about numbered reviews, is if you're a parent and you don't know a lot about gaming, say, that's your easy, like, this one's fine, I can get this one. This one is crap, and I'm not going to get it for them, you know.
Yeah,
but
this
like,
one isn't broke.
Yeah, exactly. Don't buy Anthem. But
I was wondering if Anthem was going to go up in this discussion.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of like quote unquote responsibility on reviewers, other than to be kind of critically transparent and, you know, honest and that kind of thing. And they do, generally speaking, I think to write an article, you need to give some of the objective facts about a game, what it's doing, what it's trying to do, what the mechanics are, what the story's about, that kind of stuff. But like, your interpretation of that is fine. And like, anyone reading a review like that, the responsibility in some ways is on the reader to understand that this is just one person or a couple of people's perspective. And you might read it and think, you know, they're saying that this like political element of this game is really bad, but to me that sounds utterly fascinating, or like, that's right up my street. Or, you know, we've been talking about Control and how you and I are both really interested in that world, and that's made us want to play it so much. But like, there'd be plenty of people that are like, I don't care about all this like mad stuff flying about and crazy schemes, and, you know, that's just not going to be for some people. So you have to understand yourself and where you're coming into games and what interests you. And if you don't know that stuff about you yet, then you're probably quite a new gamer. And then numbers are pretty helpful, really, you know, like, that is a good scope.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I completely understand why they do it. It's just an easy way to quantify something.
Exactly,
you know what I mean? But I think it's easy to see numbers attached to something and think that it's definitive, and think that it's like nuanced in some way, when in actual fact it's just representative of someone's, as we just said, subjective opinion about something. So I just think that there has to be more discussion around that as well. I also think that the way that games have kind of changed and moved on in the last 20 years, whereas reviews haven't, can be quite problematic. So we just talked about the fact that Gears 5 as it now is just out, and the IGN review for that is actually done as two separate reviews. So it's reviewing the campaign and it's reviewing the multiplayer, and it's given a combined overall as well, which I think is really good and is quite progressive in the ways with which games are reviewed. But a game like Destiny, for example, like, how do you review Destiny? When do you review Destiny? When's the right time to review Destiny? Obviously you review it at launch, but then do you review it a year later when there's been 2 expansions out? Do you just review it every single expansion? Are you then just
every 5 minutes?
Yeah, are you just reviewing the expansion then, or are you reviewing the whole experience again? It's difficult, you know what I mean? The nature of games has changed so much, which I just think that means that these definitive numbers that are put on games and opinions are just increasingly meaningless. And I really think that reviews, like I think Polygon does this, where it's just like, yeah, we recommend it for these reasons, and if you're into these things, we recommend it.
Yeah.
If you're not into these things, maybe this isn't for you. But if you want to try and get into this kind of type of game, whether that be fighting game, racing game, whatever, kind of, maybe you want to try this one because of these reasons, and kind of like break down why you think this might be good for different groups of people, rather than just say, yep, these things are good, these things are bad, that equals 2.5 on the IGN scorometer.
Yeah.
And there you go, off to Metacritic with you. You know,
yeah.
I think that is just becoming less and less and less and less valid, and particularly because there's more and more and more and more games coming out, and the type of games that people are playing is becoming more and more and more and more fractured. It's trending towards meaningless.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Which is why I was a bit kind of flippant with it, but I really do genuinely think, like, see if you play a game. So, for example, like, see if you play Celeste. I think there's a lot of people would listen to me go on about how Celeste is one of my favourite games ever, then go and play Celeste and think, This is just a 2D platformer with some like quite nice mechanics and whatever, and yeah, it feels quite good. But I mean, it's not one of my favorite games ever. What is this maniac talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I can see a lot of people doing that, but for me, I'm just like, oh my god, that is such the epitome of that type of game. And it tells this amazing story. Like, I'm not meaning to gush on Celeste, but it's also one of the games as well that was brought to my attention because of its reviews. Because Celeste came out of absolutely nowhere for me, and suddenly it was getting 9s and 10s across the board. This tiny little indie game that I'd never heard of, and I'm like, well, we're going to check this out, don't I? You know what I mean? They can't let this pass by. So I suppose it works both ways for that kind of thing. But I mean, how do you feel about that? I guess, like, do you think the way that we review games has to change? Do you think it should change? Do you think we're okay?
I think more nuance is always good. So I completely agree. This kind of new trend, certainly championed by IGN, of splitting particularly multiplayer games, particularly multiplayer shooters, it should be said.
Yeah, so I think this started with Call of Duty. I can't remember if it was the last Call of Duty or the one before that. Even.
Yeah, it was Black Ops, wasn't it? The one that had...
well, Black Ops was the last one, but it might have been World at War?
No, it was what everyone had the Battle Royale mode.
Oh, right. No, you're totally right.
Because they kind of separated that out as well.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah,
like, I think that is quite clever. They obviously did put numbers on all of those and then averaged out. And actually, that final averaged out score is probably less useful than a normal score in some ways, because it's kind of a composite of three slightly uncomparable things. More nuance is good. I totally love that thing that you're saying about what Polygon do, if it is Polygon, that kind of have the... I don't even think Polygon break it down as much as I was talking about, but they basically say, oh, we recommend this because they don't put a number on it, which I think is quite good. Absolutely. So I still think that, like, numbered scores have their place. Like you were saying with Celeste, we also mentioned Divinity Original Sin earlier when we were doing our Switch roundup.
Oh, scored through the roof.
And it was the scores for that, because I would not normally look at an RPG twice, really, but the scores for that led me to read some stuff about it that made me think this is interesting, and now it's kind of on my list. The scores have their place in that way. But for me, by and large, like, I quite often turn to like Kotaku articles when I want to find it, or that's how I discover a lot of new games. So thinking about Into the Breach, which was one of our play along games before, it wasn't actually ever a review of that made me want to play it or take note of it. It was like really short pieces where people were just going like, this is my experience playing this last night. I did this thing, had this lengthy battle, this is how it panned out, and I've not stopped talking about it since. And those things to me are really interesting pieces of game criticism. I don't actually care what kind of score it got. In the end, I was just like, oh, I've got to try this. And maybe if it had got a 5 from every other outlet, I might have thought, this is just one person's opinion. But when you start to see like a bit of critical consensus forming when the scores are broadly similar, and then you sort of read into some or listen, that's the other thing, like gaming, podcasting, and that kind of sphere of the media now is so big that there's just so much more that you can pay attention to. So you don't need a numbered score. You can see roughly what a game looks like and then go and explore it much more deeply. Yeah,
I think you were kind of hinting at something there as well, which is like the sphere of video games criticism now is so big. So I think what I would recommend more than anything is just find someone who you think like their likes and dislikes in video games kind of align with your own for the most part, and kind of maybe kind of give their review a bit more credence than perhaps other people that you don't necessarily agree with. I think that's a pretty good way to go about it. But if you don't like Celeste, you're wrong.
We're the ones with the opinion that matters.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Obviously,
subscribe to us. Subscribe to us. We are the ones with the opinion that matters. But yeah, so that's kind of what I mean about like, don't be a slave to the Metacritic. Like, if we say something's got a bad score, or we're not liking a game for any particular reason, in a lot of ways, like, if you think that that's something that interests you, don't be put off by a score. Don't be put off by what two idiots in a podcast said. You know what I mean? Don't be put off by some random article. Just don't be put off. Just remember that all these things are usually just a one person's opinion or at least a very small number of people's opinion, and their opinion could differ wildly from you, and even if something is scored terribly on Metacritic, it could still be one of your favourite games ever, you know? So yeah, definitely don't be a slave.
Yeah.
Don't be a slave to any of that.
And you don't need to love Undertale just because everyone tells you to.
Well, you're also wrong about that as well, obviously. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we will leave it there. Just want to remind everyone that you can find Players2 on all the social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, the lot. You can also find our written content over at players2.com. That's PLAYERSTOO.com. And if you could take 5 seconds to give us 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts, again, it does a huge, huge, huge amount for the exposure of the show. It really, really helps us out, and thank you so much to anyone that's already done that for us. And while you're over there, you might as well give us a little review as well. Doesn't have to be a big diatribe, doesn't have to be many words at all. Just a wee thumbs up is good enough for us. I'd just like to remind everyone as well that our play along for this month is Braid, which I'm very much looking forward to playing again. I really hope that it interests you guys out there as well. It's definitely worth your money. I cannot say definitely enough there. It is an absolutely superb game. I only started playing it just as this podcast was launching, and it is quickly become one of my favourite indie games ever, quite frankly. Right up there with Celeste.
I reinstalled it on my laptop the other day, and I haven't played it for about 8 years, and immediately just the image that came up on Steam, it had things in it and the style of it that I had completely forgotten, and I was just like, oh yes, I cannot wait.
It really is awesome. It really is so good. And if you decide to play it and you want to reach out to us and let us know what you think, please do. You can reach us on social media anywhere. Just DM us, we'll reply eventually. All right, ladies and gentlemen, see you later.
Thanks.